We will publish the biography of the candidate for President of the United States of America, Ron DeSantis. Part 2. In September 2021, DeSantis announced he would run for re-election. On November 7, he filed the necessary paperwork to officially enter the race. In the general election, he faced Democratic nominee Charlie Crist, a U.S. representative and former Florida governor. Crist heavily criticized DeSantis's decision to transport illegal immigrants to Democratic states, arguing that it was human rights abuse. During an interview with Bret Baier on Fox News, Crist called DeSantis one of the biggest threats to democracy. The gubernatorial debate was held on October 23, and the candidates exchanged attacks. At one point, Crist asked DeSantis whether he would serve a full 4-year term, in relation to talk about a potential DeSantis campaign for president in 2024. DeSantis responded, "The only worn-out old donkey I'm looking to put out to pastures is Charlie Crist." On the campaign trail, DeSantis criticized Crist's role as a U.S. representative, and at the debate said that Crist showed up for work for only 14 days during 2022. DeSantis won the November 8 election in a landslide, with 59.4% of the vote to Crist's 40%. It was the largest margin of victory in a Florida gubernatorial election since 1982. Significantly, DeSantis won Miami-Dade County, which had been a Democratic stronghold since 2002, and Palm Beach County, which had not voted Republican since 1986. Crist conceded the election shortly after DeSantis was projected as the winner. At DeSantis's victory rally, supporters chanted 2 more years at various times rather than the common 4 more years to show support for DeSantis for president in 2024. DeSantis became governor of Florida on January 8, 2019. Inaugurated at age 40, he was the youngest person to assume the office since Park Trammell in 1913 and the youngest Republican ever to serve in the position. He has generally governed as a conservative. On January 11, 3 days after taking office, he posthumously pardoned the Groveland Four, a group of black men falsely convicted of rape in 1949. The same day, he officially suspended Broward County Sheriff Scott Israel, ostensibly for his responses to the mass shootings at the Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School, appointing Gregory Toney to replace him. In its 2021 session, the Florida legislature passed DeSantis's top priorities. During his tenure, the Republican-dominated Florida legislature enacted much of DeSantis's legislative agenda, often on rapid timelines. Maximizing the power of the governor's office, DeSantis exerted pressure on Republican legislative leaders. During his 2018 gubernatorial campaign, DeSantis pledged to lower corporate income taxes to 5% or lower. During his tenure, corporate income taxes in Florida got as low as 3.5% in 2021, but by 2022 they had increased to 5.5%. DeSantis has maintained Florida's low tax status during his time as governor. In June 2019, DeSantis signed a $91.1 billion budget the legislature passed the previous month, which was the largest in state history at the time, though he cut $131 million in appropriations. In June 2021, he signed a $101.5 billion budget. He used his line-item veto to veto $1.5 billion, of which $1 billion was in Federal American Rescue Plan Act money for an emergency response fund. The budget DeSantis signed was more than $9 billion higher than Florida's current state spending plan. During the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, DeSantis blamed former Governor Rick Scott for revamping the state's unemployment insurance system with pointless roadblocks that he said were designed to prevent people from claiming benefits, claiming it created massive backlogs earlier in the year as the pandemic decimated the economy. Afterward, Florida's economy swiftly started recovering, and the unemployment rate fell below 7% by the latter half of 2020. In December 2020, DeSantis ordered the Florida Department of Economic Opportunity to extend unemployment waivers until February 27, 2021. By the end of 2020, the Cato Institute, a libertarian think tank, graded DeSantis B in its biennial fiscal policy report on America's governors. Since May 2022, Florida's unemployment rate has sat around 2%, below the national average. On November 22, 2021, because of a significant increase in gasoline prices, DeSantis announced that he would temporarily waive Florida's gasoline tax in the next legislative session, in 2022. Florida had a record state budget surplus in 2023. While in Congress, DeSantis supported proposals to raise the retirement age, i.e., the age to qualify for Medicare and Social Security, to 70 and to privatize Medicare, turning it into a premium support system. While running for president in 2023, DeSantis reversed his position, saying, "We're not going to mess with Social Security." In June 2021, DeSantis led an effort to ban the teaching of critical race theory in Florida public schools, though it had not been part of Florida's public school curriculum. He described critical race theory as teaching kids to hate their country, mirroring a similar push by conservatives nationally. The Florida Board of Education approved the ban on June 10. The Florida Education Association criticized the ban, accusing the board of trying to hide facts from students. Other critics said the ban was an effort to politicize classroom education and whitewash American history. On September 14, 2021, DeSantis announced that Florida would replace the Florida Standards Assessment (FSA) test with a system of 3 smaller tests throughout the school year, in the fall, winter, and spring. The new system was implemented in the 2022-23 school year. On December 15, 2021, DeSantis announced a new bill, the Stop Wrongs to Our Kids and Employees Act, Stop Woke Act, which would allow parents to sue school districts that teach critical race theory. He framed the bill as a bill to combat woke indoctrination that would teach our kids to hate our country or hate each other. On August 18, 2022, federal judge Mark E. Walker blocked enforcement of the act as applied to businesses, ruling that it violated the First Amendment and was impermissibly vague. Walker later blocked enforcement of the act as applied to public universities for similar reasons, writing that the legislation is positively dystopian because it officially bans professors from expressing disfavored viewpoints in university classrooms while permitting unfettered expression of the opposite viewpoints. DeSantis expressed support for the Voting Rights Restoration for Felons initiative after it passed in November 2018, saying he was obligated to faithfully implement it, as it is defined when he became governor. After he refused to restore voting rights for felons with unpaid fines, which voting rights groups said was inconsistent with the referendum's results, he was challenged in court. The Florida Supreme Court sided with DeSantis on the issue. And the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit also sided with DeSantis in a 6-4 ruling. In April 2019, DeSantis directed Florida's elections chief to expand the availability of Spanish-language ballots and Spanish assistance for voters. In a statement, DeSantis said, "It is critically important that Spanish-speaking Floridians are able to exercise their right to vote without any language barriers." In June 2019, DeSantis signed a measure that would make it harder to launch successful ballot initiatives. Petition gathering for ballot initiatives to legalize medical cannabis, increases to the minimum wage, and expansion of Medicaid were also underway. DeSantis instructed Florida Attorney General Ashley Moody to investigate whether Michael Bloomberg had criminally offered incentives for felons to vote by assisting in a fundraising effort to pay off their financial obligations so they could vote in the 2020 presidential election in Florida. No wrongdoing was found. In February 2021, DeSantis announced his support for eliminating ballot drop boxes and limiting voting by mail by requiring that voters re-register every year to vote by mail and that signatures on mail-in ballots match the most recent signature on file rather than any of the voters' signatures in the Florida system. The changes to mail-in voting were notable given that Republicans had historically voted by mail more than Democrats, but Democrats outvoted Republicans by mail in 2020. According to a Tampa Bay Times analysis, DeSantis' signature match proposal could have led to rejections of his own mail-in ballots due to changes in his signature history over time. Voting rights experts argued that the signature matching proposal could be used to disenfranchise voters whose signatures varied over time. After the U.S. Supreme Court decided Dobbs v. Jackson Women's Health Organization, which overturned Roe v. Wade, DeSantis pledged to expand pro-life protections. On April 14, 2022, he signed into law a bill that bans abortions after 15 weeks of pregnancy. Under the previous law, the limit had been 24 weeks. The law includes exceptions for abortions beyond 15 weeks if they are necessary to avert serious risk to the pregnant woman's physical health or if there is a fatal fetal abnormality, but makes no exceptions for rape, human trafficking, incest, or mental health. The law was expected to go into effect on July 1, 2022. But a state judge blocked its enforcement, ruling that it violated the right to privacy guaranteed by the Florida Constitution. After DeSantis appealed the ruling, the law went into effect on July 5, pending judicial review. In January 2023, the Supreme Court of Florida agreed to hear a legal challenge to the law. In April 2023, DeSantis signed a 6-week abortion ban. The legislation contains exceptions allowing abortion up to 15 weeks in cases in which the pregnancy was a result of rape, incest, or human trafficking, but requires the woman to provide proof of a crime before being permitted an abortion under any of those exceptions. The bill will make providing an abortion a felony punishable by up to 5 years in prison, ban telemedicine for abortion, and limit the availability of medication abortion. The 6-week ban went into effect on May 1, 2024, after the Supreme Court of Florida upheld the 15-week ban on April 1, 2024. I stop at this point today. We continue to narrate a stage in the life of the candidate for Ron DeSantis. Soon we will publish Part 3. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and keep exploring the world's incredible stories. Thank you for watching.